Hello and welcome to our virtual yoga class. I'm Vanessa. I'm here to support you and guiding you in your practice today. So let's begin class by laying on our backs. Make your way there. Make those adjustments you need. You can take your hands to rest on your belly, chest. You can also keep your hands framing your hips, palms up towards the ceiling as we do in Shavasana. Please understand this is a purposeful class where we're integrating our physical, mental, emotional bodies. Our breath is our focusing tool. Some aspects of this can be very obvious. Some aspects of these are also very ambiguous. But we can notice a shift in our bodies as we move throughout our yoga practice, moving the energy in our bodies, opening, stretching, working on strength, balance, and flexibility. Let's inhale here and exhale, sigh it out. It's a deep, full breath like this, especially when we sigh out, that we can release that tension, physical tension, mental, emotional tension, inhaling and exhaling, finding that breath that supports us, noticing that as we acknowledge and accept our breath, we're also supporting our experience. We're learning to slow down and let go of those to-do lists for the afternoon or the morning. The next thing we're going to do right now, we're just practicing returning to our bodies and returning to a full breath that you can invite at any time throughout your day. See what that full breath is like for you. Expand the belly of the rib cage. Sometimes when we invite a full breath, there's different and varying degrees of comfort and varying degrees of discomfort as well. Just because we don't tend to take regular deep breathing throughout the day, that when we finally do, we end up noticing different parts of our body that we're not normally accustomed to. That can create discomfort. Once again, inviting a breath of support to you. Sometimes a breath that supports us is a shorter breath, and that's fine as well. A quick body scan here. Notice your neck, shoulders, down the length of your spine, to your hips, behind your knees, down to your ankles and toes. Shift your attention back to your breath. And then as you complete that next exhale, invite a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead. You can interlace your fingers. And by a full body stretch, I mean you can point your toes, flex your heels. You can lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling, creating some openings and release there throughout the lower and mid back, stretching gently in the abdomen, opening the chest, opening the shoulders, length of your arms to your wrists, your fingertips. It's a gentle awakening here of the body. You can release that full body stretch. Just bend your left knee here. Let's take our hands to grab around that left knee. And for only once, let's lift our forehead up towards our knee. Let's remain here. We're pressing our right foot towards the front, activating our core strength, opening up the neck, the spine. And now drop your head back. Lift your left leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers right behind your thigh. Hold here. You can rotate your ankle clockwise or counterclockwise. You can also focus here into your calf muscle by pointing your heel up towards the ceiling as much as you can. You're flexing that foot. Heel points up towards the ceiling. Trying to activate your calf. And you focus on your hamstring by bringing your leg closer towards you. If you want to broaden that stretch to the hips, glutes, even your lower back, then you can sway your leg towards the left and towards the right, either continuously or find that spot, that sweet spot that really is asking for attention, remain there. Notice where your boundary is and then breathe into that boundary. About 3 more breaths. Don't forget that deep belly breath. Leg moves back to center. We're going to bend that left knee, grab your knee with your hands, round your spine, forehead towards your knee, hold. Now drop your head back. Opposite side, bend your right knee. Grab that knee with your hands, round your spine. You're rounding the spine, lower back, mid back, upper back. Chin tucks towards your chest. Core is active. Release your head back. Lengthen that right leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers right behind your thigh. You rotate your ankle clockwise, counterclockwise. Now we tend to not bring or place more attention to our toes, heels, balls of our feet, heels. Make sure that you do. Your feet are supporting you throughout your day. Press your heel up towards the ceiling. Notice a stretch in the calf muscle. And using your hands, you can always bring your thigh closer towards you to intensify a stretch here on the hamstrings. Hold. Either remaining here, or if you prefer to shift that stretch a little deeper into glutes or hamstrings, even your lower back, go ahead and do that. Towards the left, towards the right, either keeping that swaying back and forth or holding a position. Breathe into your boundary. Three more breaths. Invite a deep belly breath to assist you here. And then leg comes back to center. Bend your right knee. Grab your knee with your hands. Round your spine. Forehead up towards your knee. Hold. Chin towards chest. And then drop your head back. Bend both knees. Both soles of the feet on the floor. So you want to make sure your feet are parallel to each other. Heels and toes are firmly on the ground. We're going to lift our hips just a few inches off the floor. So let's soften and drop our hands or palms right onto the floor. They're framing around your hips or glutes or just a little bit past. Lift your hips just a few inches. Hold here. As you're lifting your hips just a few inches, notice your heels. Distribute weight on your heels. Notice that small release around the lower spine, the lower back. Activate your glutes to support you. And then drop your hips back down towards the floor so you can feel that tailbone, that lower back on the mat. The breath. On the next round, lift your hips just a little higher. Once again, placing attention to your hips. Now you want to make sure that your legs aren't buckling against each other so that you're forming a mountain. You don't want to do that. You still want to keep your knees, feet parallel to each other. Notice a release in the lower back. Glutes are engaged. Distribute weight on your heels. Palms are soft on the floor. And now release. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale. Third round. Lift your hips as high as you can here. Now, as you're lifting your hips, you're imagining a cord. Lift your abdomen up more towards the ceiling. You're engaging your glutes to support you. You're placing weight on your heels. Chin moves towards your chest. You're activating your quads. Don't forget a deep belly breath and then drop your hips back down towards the floor. Inhale, exhale. And then last round, once again, lift your hips as high as you can. You can make adjustments with your feet here. And you can bring your feet a little bit closer towards you or further away for you for more comfort. Now on this round, you can also have the option of interlacing your fingers, bringing your shoulder blades closer together, and then finding some more lift here in the abdomen and the chest. You have access to full diaphragm breathing here. That means your belly can fully expand. Lift your hips as high as you can. You're lifting your abdomen, your belly up towards the ceiling, chest is open. And you have that option to interlace your fingers. If you prefer to keep your palms on the floor, go ahead and do that. Inhale, and then exhale, release. Bend your knees, forehead up towards your knees, chin towards chest, hold, and then we'll go ahead and rock up. Rock up into a cross-legged position. Let's do a little bit of focus here throughout the spine, the upper body, up to the neck, shoulders, arms. So we're gonna shift into a twist. So take your left hand, grab your right knee, and then twist towards the right. Now, as you're here, you're using that grip to intensify the twist. So make sure that you grab that knee comfortably to intensify that twist towards the left. Your chin moves towards your left shoulder. And then release. Opposite side. You're twisting towards the left. Chin moves towards your shoulder. Spine is long. We're using that grip to intensify the stretch. If you're grabbing the knee, your hand behind you, fingertips can be floating either on the mat or on the floor. All right, come back to center. Interlace your fingers behind you, either palms separated or palms touching. Send your elbows. Now lift your gaze up first, and then gently lift your chin. Purposely draw shoulder blades closer together, open up the chest, lengthen throughout the arms. You're opening the shoulders. Release. Hands on your knees. About 3 to 5 rounds. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears, draw them down. Being purposeful and bringing your shoulder blades closer together as you draw your shoulders down. Palms softly lay on your knees. Sometimes we have a tendency to grip here when we don't need to. Soft palms and hands on the knees. And now release. Inhale, arms lift up. Palms up towards the ceiling. Gently opening the torso here. Now hands behind your head. Press elbows towards the back. Twist towards the left and towards the right. A few times on each side. Leading through your chest, your heart. And then once a few rounds there, release your hands. So one shoulder shrug, shoulders up towards your ears, draw them down. Inhale, arms lift. Palms up, lengthen. And now tuck your chin towards your chest, round your spine. Palms towards the front. Inhale. And exhale, release. Shift into a neutral tabletop position. Now in this tabletop position, we're going to go ahead and work on our neck. Now look over your right shoulder. Now as you're looking over your right shoulder, you're not looking over passively. You're looking over, making sure you're stretching that left side of the neck. Now drop your head. To the top of your head is parallel to the mat. Let your head hang here. You notice a natural opening there around the neck, upper back, around the shoulders. And then look over your left shoulder, purposely looking here, chin moving towards the back. Noticing a stretch here on both sides of the neck. And then moving at your own pace and intentionally drop your head. Head is parallel to the floor, look behind your shoulders. Look behind one shoulder and the next, being purposeful in dropping your shoulder. Notice anything that's opening there in the upper back, shoulder blades. Just a few times there. And then come back to neutral. We're going to take one cow and cat pose. Then after that cat pose, let's lift up into our first downward facing dog of the class. So you can, from tabletop, you can shift your hands forward. That's natural. Curl your toes, and then from those curled toes, lift up. You're in this upside down V, breathing from your heels up to your hips, down the length of your spine, to your head, to your fingertips. Imagine you're breathing with your body. You can step your toes back, plank pose. Drop your knees down towards the floor and then drop your belly down towards the floor. From here, we'll lift up into an upward facing dog, remain there a few breaths. And so it is an intense pose to remain for a long time. So let's double check your position. So hands are framing your chest. Now notice your elbows. Elbows remain close to your torso. Inhale, lift. Now as I'm lifting here, my shoulders are away from my ears. So I'm not collapsing my torso. Tops of the feet are on the floor. In, exhale. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. In that down dog, start to pedal your feet back and forth. Continuously opening up hamstrings and hips. Now take your gaze right between your hands and walk or jump up to that forward fold. Now in this forward fold, soften your head, soften your neck. Hands to your shins. We're going to inhale up halfway. Exhale, release. Second time, inhale halfway up. We're mindful of relaxing our head, our neck when we fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Round through your feet to your heels. Lift our arms up over. Hands in front of our heart. Inhale here. Exhale, slide out. Noticing right hand press against left hand press against right hand. Release your hands. Inhale, arms lift. Two-legged balance, palms up towards the ceiling. Now find a point to focus on. It's important to keep your gaze steady, and that's generally throughout all the yoga poses, but especially here in balance. And I emphasize lifting your heels kind of halfway or as much as you can to just activate different types of balance here, different types of stability. I want you to notice there's a deep stillness in your body. But notice there's many subtle vibrations that are going on. A lot of shifts and changes. And I emphasize this because paradox is such a critical piece to any of these yoga poses. And of course, to life as well. Inhale, steady breath. Making sure you don't hold our breath in our balance. Release your hands, release your heels, paddle your feet back and forth. Wide-legged forward fold. We're going to lengthen our stance here. Toes are about parallel to each other, or they can be pointed slightly inward. Hands to your hips, fold halfway. Hold here. Making sure your weight is distributed on your heels. Start to fold down. We're going to remain here a few breaths. You can grab your toes with your fingers. You can cup your elbows with your hands. Be mindful of two things. Neck is soft. You're not craning your neck up. You're not holding some tension in the neck or shoulders. Head is totally relaxed. The second thing to focus on is your knees. Have a little micro bend to your knees. You're not locking your knees. Here, your inhale and exhale, deep belly breath. Breathe into your hamstrings. Take your hands to the mat, to the floor. Bring your feet closer together into a regular forward fold. Knees are bent, belly can relax onto the thighs, neck is relaxed. We're going to roll up slowly, head comes up and back. From here, let's prepare for 3 sun salutations to create some more heat in our bodies. Now that our bodies are now more open and balanced. Let's inhale, lift arms. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down to your forward fold. Hands to your shins, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, neck is soft. Step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Generous breath in that down dog. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Sweep our arms into overhead. Noticing right palm press against left palm press against right palm. The present moment awareness, arriving to our breath, arriving to our experience. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up. Upward facing dog. And now we meet in our down dog. Take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up to your forward fold, and then sweep your arms up overhead. And prepare for your third sun salutation. Hands in front of your chest, take a deep belly breath. Feel free to move at your own pace, so go ahead and cue go. Inhale, arms lift. Your spine is long here. Exhale, fold down. Relaxing your head as you fold down. Inhaling halfway up. Exhaling, releasing. Step back into your plank pose. So ideally you're inhaling, stepping back, and exhaling, releasing down towards the floor. Inhale up into your upward facing dog. And then we'll meet in a downward facing dog. In that down dog, we lift our right leg, bend our knees, stack our hips, and our right knee. Shift towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Opposite side, lift your left leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Release that knee towards that left elbow, hover, and then lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Invite those generous breaths. Release your foot back down towards the floor, and then we'll shift back into a child's pose. Either knees close together or towards the edges of the mat. Take a couple of intentional breaths here. What I mean by intentional breath is that you're purposely cultivating your breath practice, perhaps increasing the length of your inhale or exhale. It helps with focus. But by all means, you can always take a certain breath that's most comfortable for you. One more breath. And start to release the pose, your child pose. Shift into a tabletop. Make sure your hands are right beneath your shoulders. Press that left hand onto the mat. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold. You're extending throughout that right arm. And then release. Opposite side. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release. Lift up into your downward facing dog. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. And then your choice how you come up to standing. You can either roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. And meet in front of your heart center. Right palm and left hand pressing against each other. Release your hands. We're going to go ahead and prepare to shift into a warrior one. Now we'll shift from warrior one into warrior three. So first we'll take that left foot forward. That's going to be the leg that we balance on once we shift into warrior three. Shift your right leg back so your right foot is in a diagonal. 90-degree bend to that left knee. In that warrior one, your hips shift towards the front. So your hips are squared to the edge of your mat. Let's take our arms up. And then you can either take your gaze straight ahead or lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. Very strong pose. Your legs are these scissors attempting to close, but they can't close. Inhale here. Exhale. Hands in front of your heart center. One more breath here. Inhale, exhale. And then keep your hands right in front of your chest, your heart. And then balance on the left foot as you lift your right leg. Dip your chest so that your chest is eventually parallel to the floor. To see where you're at with your warrior three. Now, if you want to float your foot just a few inches off the floor, that's fine. Steady your breath. And now release your hands onto the floor. So your hands, double check them, they're right beneath your shoulders. Soften the neck, head. Lift your right leg as high as you can. Belly drops towards that left thigh. Steady your breath. And then right foot meets that left foot. 3 rounds, handstands. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Second round. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Third round. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice how you come up to standing. You're rolling up slowly, you're sweeping your arms up overhead, or I guess you could always do a combination. Notice left palm press against right palm press against left palm. It's that practice of presence. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Balancing energies usually move a lot of energy around the body. Release your hands. Another strength of strength here is your warrior one. So for your warrior one, we're going to do the opposite side. So now we take our right foot forward, left leg steps back. Left foot is in a diagonal. You're going to eventually balance on that right foot when you come into that warrior three. So first check your knees, a 90-degree bend, hips square towards the front of or to the edge of your mat. Glutes are active, quads as well. Your legs are these scissors attempting to close. Palms face each other. Notice your toes, your heels, your gaze is steady. Imagining a breath from your heels all the way up to your toes. Hands in front of your heart center. We take a breath here. Mentally prepare ourselves for that warrior three. We lift our left leg is parallel to the floor. Our chest is parallel to the floor. Core is active. We need to activate a lot of strength here in quads and glutes. Hips are also opening. There's a lot going on in this pose. Notice where your breath is. You can have a micro bend to that right knee. And then start to drop your hands so they're directly beneath your shoulders. Soften your neck, head, lift your left leg as high as you can. Left foot meets that right foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. 2 more times. Inhale, halfway up. Third time. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice, how you come up to standing. Hands in front of the heart center. We inhale. Exhale, release your hands. We're preparing ourselves for our last standing pose. We'll shift into our last, for one sun salutation. Let's inhale, lift your arms up overhead. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, half. Exhale, release, step back into your plank fold. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then we meet in our down dog. In that down dog, we're going to prepare for our pigeon pose. Lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips first. And then right knee moves towards our right elbow. You hover. And then release your knee onto the floor. Lengthen that left leg behind you. Then take your fingertips here onto the mat. Lengthen the spine here. And then drop towards the floor. Now you're opening up your hip here, and for whatever reason it's feeling very tight or you have an injury, you can always remain here with elbows extended, feeling to the stretch of the hips and glutes. Other choices are to rest here on your forearms, keeping your head lifted. That alleviates some pressure there on the hips. Or if you're ready for that, you can always drop your forehead onto a fist or all the way down towards the floor. Drop your belly towards the floor. Release any rounding in the lower back. And drop into a comfortable breath. Two more breaths here. And after those breaths, ground your palms onto the mat. Curl those left toes and shift back up into a downward facing dog. You can either remain here or take one vinyasa here. Plank pose, release down towards the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. We lift our left leg, bend our left knee, stack our hips. Now left knee towards that left elbow, hover, and then release your knee onto the floor. Step that right leg back, balance here on your fingertips. And then release down towards the floor. Again, if you prefer to keep your torso lifted, elbows long, do that. Otherwise, forehead remain lifted, or you can drop your forehead to a fist. Anywhere 5-7 breaths here. Notice where that boundary is. We have 2 more breaths here. Now try to curl those right toes. Ground your palms onto the floor. You can take one last vinyasa from your downward facing dog, plank pose, upward facing dog, and then down dog. Otherwise, we meet at our tabletop. In that tabletop, and make sure our hands are right beneath your shoulders. You take one cow and half pose just to protect your spine here. And then once you've taken those poses, release, and then come to sit. In a cross-legged, noticing any tendency that one leg is usually more forward than the other, or is the one that's furthest away from you, switch it out. So it's the opposite leg that's furthest away from you. And take your hands to your knees. We've created heat in the body. We've opened up. Welcome your breath. And then a mini meditation here, 5 breaths. And by 3 breath cycles, they can all each be different. They can all be long or short. Notice the breath that supports you. This is specifically a moment. Notice the breath. Adjust the breath as needed. On the next breath, inhale, exhale, sigh it out. If your eyes are closed, open your eyes. We're going to work on our neck or shoulders. Drop your chin towards your chest. And then roll your head from one shoulder to the next. Focusing on the sides of the neck, back of the neck, throat, shoulders, upper back. If you prefer to work on some meditation, go ahead and do that. Three more breaths here. And after you've had a breath, you can start to release. Head comes back to neutral. Let's go ahead and shift to lay on our backs, lengthening our legs for workout. Palms up towards the ceiling, chin towards chest. Release, find a point to hover. I'm going to hold the pose, hovering here, and I'll drop your head back. As your head reaches the floor, let's inhale here, exhale, sigh out. We'll bend both knees, both feet float off the floor. Grab your knees with your hands, rock to the left and towards the right. Purposely massaging there. Lower back, around the tailbone. And then drop those knees towards the left. Bring your arms out to a T. Drop your head towards the right. You want to make sure your head and your knees are facing opposite directions to get the benefit of the twist. You're scanning your neck, shoulders, down the length of your spine. Imagine your knees fall further towards the floor. This is a pose of softening the body. Practice. Another breath here. Knees come back to center. Drop your knees towards the right. Turn your head towards the left. Find a comfortable breath. Two more breaths here. Head comes back to center, soles of the feet touch, butterfly pose, hands frame your hips. Hands can rest on your belly, your chest, or you can lift your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor. Abdomen opens up, chest opens up, shoulders and hips. Feet lightly touch. Inhale, exhale here. We'll start to shift out of the butterfly pose into our last resting pose. Palms up towards the ceiling. This is a purposeful pose of non-doing. It's a pose in which we let go, we receive, and integrate our practice. Here we notice the wisdom of doing nothing, just being still. It's all right if your mind wanders, but do practice observing sensations. It could be something you hear, something you feel. You could observe thoughts. The only thing to do here is to soften the body further. So a body scan here. You can soften forehead and jaw, back of the neck and shoulders. Down the length of the arms, from your wrists down to your fingertips. Soften the upper back, mid back, lower back to the area around the tailbone. And then down your hips, behind your knees, to your ankles and toes. we'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. You can invite some movement to your toes, your fingertips. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, pointing your toes. And or you can turn your body to the side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. Once again, being purposeful and inviting a generous breath, a leisurely breath. And then after a breath, you can start to make your way up to your seat. Whatever your seat looks like for you. Make sure you bring a little bit of integrity, awareness with your body. Making any adjustments where you can sit powerfully and comfortably. And then we'll take a moment here to be with our bodies, with our breath. Noticing that inner stillness, and then also noticing all those ripples in our bodies. All those thought streams. And in appreciation of the breath and in gratitude, we take our hands in front of our heart center. Let's inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.